We're in.
Sound check.
Right.
Wasn't even prepped for it.
Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Going Through a Take. In today's episode, we're joined with writer, director, you could say actor as well, Lloyd.
100% an actor.
Eyre-Morgan.
100% an actor.
Yeah.
Hey up, Lloyd. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Welcome. Now, for you that don't know, potentially, that are watching, Lloyd is an award-winning writer and director for film and television. His passion for storytelling has always been one that's founded within truth and experience, heavily influenced by his northern roots, upbringing and background within the LGBT plus and neurodiverse community. He's directed EastEnders, Waterloo Road, and recently starred in as well as directed his first feature film Departures, which won Best in Festival at the BFI Flair 2025 and also played to sellout audiences in both London and Manchester. Quite a CV.
Have you been Googling me? Did
Just
you
a little bit, yeah.
It took me a while to go through the IMDb. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just looking at your agent's website.
I was like,
he's done that as
recognise
well.
this.
Interesting.
I got ChatGPT to write that bio ages ago.
Anyway, welcome to the pod, which can be super chill. How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I'm good.
Nice one. Well, we'll start with just a question that we ask every single guest, and that's just what started you on this journey? What piece of media in your childhood or in your teens or whenever you started, what set you on this path? What inspired you?
Probably watching A Nightmare on Elm Street when I was about 4.
4.
Yeah. So there was a childminder that used to look after me, and she had it on VHS, and I used to just watch it, and she used to just let us watch it upstairs. So I was like, I want to make films when I watched that, and then literally just started making films with video cameras. And
so a repeated occurrence that you just kept on watching that one Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, then I kind of got hooked on horror films, and my dad and my mum would just buy me horror films.
Well, when
there
I
was
first
never
met
like an
you,
age.
that's almost exclusively what you did, is just horror films. Like, you were obsessed with horror.
Yeah, like I love the horror genre.
Did you never get nightmares from them? Because I feel like I'm such like a shitbag when it comes to horror films.
No, I used to deal them around school. So I'd go into primary school with like A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 in my rucksack, and I'd be like, right.
Wait, there's a second Nightmare on Elm Street?
There's 7.
Oh, what?
Yeah, there's 7
way.
films.
I know what we're watching tonight.
You've missed out. It's so good. But yeah, I used to literally take it into primary school, and I'd like swap it for like, I know that like usually the Lion King, and then I'd take their Lion King and they'd take Nightmare on Elm Street.
They rated like their parents like Disney like films, and then let's try the Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, it's just 18.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. You're just giving all the other like primary school kids like nightmares.
Basically, yeah.
Is that the one? That is the one with Freddy Krueger, right?
Yeah, in
the
Johnny.
dreams, yeah.
Is it Johnny
Yeah,
Depp?
Johnny Depp's in
Yeah,
it, yeah.
he reaches up and he sucks through them.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I never watched the whole of that film because I watched half of it and was just like, I can't do this.
It's so good. I think it's really, really well made horror film. Like, I think it's one of the best.
Why horror?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, like what draws you into horror? Like, because I don't get it. I'm not the biggest fan of horror. Like, it's just...
I think it's because if you look at 80s horror films, usually the protagonists are kind of like on the outcasts of like, you know, the groups. And I felt like, I think I felt like that growing up. So for me, I think it was relatable because it's usually about some sort of like person on the outskirts of society. And then, I don't know, I related to a lot of horror films. Yeah, I don't know.
So you sort of viewed them all as like allegories for your life?
Maybe.
almost.
And then I started making them. So like, I remember my mum got like a video camera from work, and then I just started making horror films and would like take it into school, and we'd just be making horror films at break time in the playground and then getting the camera confiscated. And
What
like,
sort of age?
like, I don't know, like 9, 10, and then all the way through high school, like every lunch break at high school, we'd just be making horror films.
So you've just been making stuff for
Yeah.
fucking ever.
Basically, yeah. And then I made friends with a guy called Nick, who was my best friend growing up, and his dad was a cameraman for Red Dwarf, which was on BBC.
Cool. Yeah.
So he had all
yeah.
the kit. So I used to go to his, and at the weekends we'd just get everyone around there, and we'd be making like films and editing them. And I just spent all my youth growing up just doing it.
Wow.
So even from the get-go, you were just like, was it like, this is what I'm going to do? Or was it just like a passion?
No,
And
it's
then
like,
at
this
some
is what I'm
point-
going to do. Yeah, 100%. I've never ever wanted to do anything else.
And it was always directing. It was never.
Well, I was in them
acting,
as
it
well,
was-
because
Oh, right, okay.
obviously like there was like 4 of us sometimes, so I had to be in them as well. So yeah. I don't
Were
know.
there any other horror films that really like struck your attention growing up?
There's a film called Demons, which you have to watch. It sounds crap because it's called Demons, but
does sound
it's
shocking.
so good. Basically, it's about a group of people in a movie theatre, and the film starts happening in real life in the theatre around them because of the problem.
sounds
That's
sick.
cool.
And
Okay.
it's so good. It's so
That is
good.
cool.
Yeah.
Was that another, is it that kind of like what are they called? Sort of grindhouse kind of like B-movie slasher kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's a bit sort of camp, it's a bit sort of over stylized, but it's like
Yeah, like
okay.
Evil Dead as well, because that was made by basically film students and broke out, and it like that inspired me so much. I was like, I want to make an Evil
I
Dead.
think I watched that for the first time recently. Is the one where he gets like a chainsaw in his hand?
Yeah.
Or something? It's really
It's so
good.
good.
What's the guy like? What's the actor called? Bruce
Campbell.
Yeah, he's like an icon.
Yeah.
I was looking at the IMDb, being like, this guy's been in everything.
He's so good.
How have I never watched this film?
Yeah, and Sam Raimi directed it. Like it's
Yeah.
wow.
Spider-Man director.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
We all know that. Yeah.
Oh man.
Do you find like for horror films especially, obviously you've got like psychological horrors and then you've got other horrors like Scream, which are a bit like they're almost taking the piss out of horror. Which ones do you prefer?
I think I prefer. I think I just like the genre. I don't think I've got like a preference. I love 80s horror films, but I think that's what I kind of like used to watch growing up. So for me, it was like, I don't know. I just love the cheesiness of some of them as well. And like, and the thing is, if you show them to people now, they're like, that's crap. But I think because I watched it when I was a child, I was like, it's amazing.
It's got that kind of nostalgia kick as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember watching The Mummy when I was like 9. And that film gave me nightmares for like 2 years. I'm not gonna lie, because like I used to think like if I shut my bedroom door, the monsters won't come in. However, in The Mummy, the mummy turns into sand and goes through the door alone. So I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm screwed here. He's gonna come through. So 2 years I spent on that.
My brother, and he's gonna hate me for telling this story, was terrified of Monsters Inc. couldn't sleep for months after watching Monsters Inc. because he thought
old
the
was
monster was
he
going
at
to
the
come out of
time?
their wardrobe.
He was like 15. He's
Take
like,
his scream away.
it's a
I think-
scary film.
He was like
Randall's scary.
7.
I'm trying to think. What was the? There was I remember watching King Kong when I was a kid. The Peter Jackson one.
Yeah.
And it's the one where they get like swallowed up by some sort of leech, and they kind of suffocate and drown in like the acid inside of this huge. Is that not in the film? I think it's in the film.
Got no idea.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
you're
because
talking
it's
about.
got like a whole like adventure thing on the island, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it's quite
man.
good, that.
And just Weeping Angels and most of Doctor Who as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, horror films I only got into like over 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, it's a definitely like a niche. Like, do you ever watch From Dusk Till Dawn?
I love it. It's one of my favourites.
So good. There's a lot of
That's what I
talked
lent
about.
you.
Huh?
Yeah, I've not watched it yet.
Oh, I lent it to Ollie to watch, and he's not watched it. I lent him loads of really good films.
No, I'm sorry, I've not
Good.
gotten around to them.
Tonight.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's, what is it? George Clooney. Wait, who's Salma Hayek?
Yeah, it's so good.
Is it Tarantino? As
Tarantino's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's at the bottom of Salma Hayek with the feet, right?
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah.
Of course he is. Classic Tarantino.
That's where he would be usually, right?
So in terms of you're talking about like finding sort of the outcasts and as their protagonists, with the sort of shorts that you've done and then into sort of the features and even the soaps and stuff that you've worked on as well, how do you sort of tune into that as a way of telling that story?
I mean, it's an interesting one because obviously, like with TV, it's telling different stories, which I love, which I wouldn't necessarily tell myself or write myself. So that's what I love about doing TV is I branch out and explore stories that I haven't before, I suppose. But I don't know. I think with my films, I like being able to tell quite personal stories, I suppose now. I think that's what I've kind of like tuned into, I think. And I think I like to champion like talented people that haven't had a break or they've had something stopping them getting a break, because I just think the industry is just so like elitist and so hard to get, especially, I mean, I've banged on about this a lot, but like with soap actors, they find it so hard to get roles when they leave soaps because people are like, oh, well, you've only done a soap, which is why we really wanted to champion David Tagby in Depart, just because he's such a brilliant actor, but no one would see him after
sick.
he got out of Hollyoaks. He's like, well, he's done Hollyoaks, so he's a Hollyoaks actor. I was like, no, he's an actor.
Yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you think there's that sort of reputation?
I think it's ultimately, I think if you kind of go underneath it, it's to do with like a class issue where actually the people that are working in high-end drama are usually from, more privileged, higher class backgrounds from the South. And I think a lot of people who go into soaps are from working class backgrounds, and it's one of the only kind of ways in. And I think there's kind of a bit of a snobbery still in the industry that needs to change, where working class actors are getting pigeonholed into being soap actors and they're only allowed to be soap actors. And there's a massive divide, I think, in television with it. And I think it's bad and it needs to change. But I think there's a long way to go with it. But I will, in my career, fight to get working class actors in front of the screen. Like I feel really passionate about it. And soap actors, because they're brilliant. Like when I work on EastEnders, the actors there are so good that I'm like, you're incredible. Like, and I think that they're not getting seen for other stuff because there is this kind of elitism still in the industry that shouldn't be there.
I think so. It's just because it's a style, it's a genre in itself in terms of the acting style that you have to bring to it in terms of the tone. And also, you get the script on the day. Sometimes the lines will change just before you go for a take. So there's a speed and a kind of organic kind of style to whatever they're doing, which maybe they don't have the privilege. No, the people on I don't know, bigger budget stuff have more privilege in terms of being able to pull more strings and get the time they need to be able to work on this stuff. So they don't get as much praise as they should for how quickly soap actors can work and pick up stuff.
Yeah, but it goes across the board. Like even for me as a director, I'll get put up for jobs and they'll be like, oh, but you've done 18 episodes of EastEnders. I'm not sure if we can take you. Like there's a thing where directors are terrified about doing too much soap because then you can't get out of soap. And it's so bad because it's like, yeah, but we also need to work. Yeah. Like, and it's kind of that. And it also, I think if you can direct a soap, you can direct anything. Because it's so hard.
Such a machine.
It's such a hard machine. And you can complete on time and you have to complete on time. But yet, when I've gone for high-end interviews, sometimes they've been like, you are on the edge of maybe have done too much soap. And I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to do? Be unemployed and wait for 2 years until someone gives me a high-end job?
I still need to, earn money.
Yeah.
I need a wage, and I also want to work in the vocation that I'm employed in.
Yeah.
So what do you want me to do?
But it's the same with crime. Like I know directors that direct on, Ridley and Vera and all these other crime things, and they can't get out of crime. Because it's like your crime dramas.
Oh, right, okay.
So you get basically in this industry, you just get stuck in a lane and people don't want you to leave that lane. And it's so frustrating.
How do you leave that lane then?
I don't know. I think it's a combination of, I think making your own stuff alongside what you're doing for TV is a good way. That's opened up other lanes for me, just making my own film. Like I've been seen for stuff that I would have never got seen for in a million years from doing television. By, kind of using the money I was earning from a TV series to make a film at weekends to see if it opened up doors, and it has. But again, I think that's rare as well, probably. I don't know.
So did you expect Departures to do so as well as it did?
I don't know, because it was weird because I was making it at weekends with my mates. Yeah. So it was a bit like, it didn't really feel real. And then obviously I'm in it as well and it's quite exposing. And then I was sat in a cinema with 300 people and I was like, oh my God, I want to die. What am I doing? And to be fair, 3 months into filming it, I suddenly went, oh my God, I'm in a film. And I was like, but it's too late.
What have I done? This was a good idea at the time. When we had a few drinks, it was a great idea.
Yeah. So then I was like, oh, well, I'm going to have to do it now. But I actually really enjoyed it. I think it's the most, I've enjoyed a project ever doing that film. I got so much out of it.
I think it also comes across on screen that you enjoyed it as well. When I was watching it.
It's fucking sad.
No, it's sad. It's so sad. It's very sad. And I'm pretty sure all 300 people in the cinema, including myself, cried. But apart from that, I thought you can see the passion. You can see the dedication and care that you put into it. I mean, to write, direct and act in it is a feat in itself. And to do it well is another thing. And you managed to do that. So kudos to you. And I was really excited to have this chat with you because I don't know, it's always nice seeing someone's journey and how they get to where they are. And I feel like you're at a level now where I know we talked about the lanes, but the lane, if that was the lane that you were in, it feels like you've almost sort of forging your own path away from that lane, which is really nice.
Yeah. I think that's what I get the most out of working with Neil and Paul and making these movies. I think like I've worked with Neil for years now and he co-directed Departures with me and directed me in it. And it was, I think that was really useful because someone else could have an eye on my performance. I mean, they weren't going to let me be in it originally.
They weren't going to let you.
So I had to audition for it.
Did you?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. They were like, no. Neil was
Audition
like,
for the film that you've written.
Yeah. So Neil was like, "You're not just putting yourself in a film."
You were just like, I don't think that you understand the character.
So I had to audition for it, and then they were like, "Fine," because I mean, I get it, because there was a lot of resources going into it and a lot of favors from people. It's not just like, I mean, if
It's like, even though it was being made on not a lot of budget, you were still using industry professionals, and it was still a professional production.
Exactly.
It was just,
but I got the part and I'm in it. So yeah, it was, but yeah, it was touch and go.
How did it feel for you, Ollie, playing a younger version of?
I never got a script.
Ollie didn't know what was going on. He
I had no fucking
turned
clue.
up for like 8 hours, and I just told him scenarios, and then he left, and then he
Yeah,
watched it.
like all of my scenes are improv. I've got no idea what's going on. I didn't even know what the story of the film was for the longest time. Yeah, no, I had no idea.
I guess, like, from your character's point of view, you have no idea where it's going to go. So
No, I did
Yeah.
tell you bits.
You told me little tiny bits, but everything is improv.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think there was a script.
Yeah, there was
And
a
then
script.
on my last day of shooting, I was talking to Paul, and I was like, "Is there a script? Do you know what's coming?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course. Have you not been sent it?" I was like, "No. What the fuck?"
Well, your bits were scripted in description, so I just thought it was better just to let you kind of, because your part actually is bigger than it is on paper, because it's
Yeah.
actually moments. It was just
Just
visuals in the
dragged
script.
every moment out on screen. I'm just gonna make this as long as I possibly can.
So yeah, it was interesting because it was like, I'd say it was like 50% improv and 50% scripted. So a lot of the stuff with me and David was scripted, and then a lot of the other bits we'd kind of read it, do a take on the floor, and then throw the scripts away and just get them to play with it.
I'm just thinking, for anyone listening and watching who doesn't know about Departures, what would be the sort of elevator pitch, or the description you're going to be putting on the DVD?
I mean, someone's described it as Heartstopper that fucks. Can I say fucks on this?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Heartstopper that fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartstopper
yeah.
and
X-rated
That fucks.
Heartstopper.
with you. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I suppose it's about a dysfunctional relationship or toxic relationship, I suppose, ultimately, that's drawn from mine and Neil's lived experiences, I suppose. It was a bit of a therapy film in a way as well, I guess. But yeah, I think 3 months into filming, like I said, I'd kind of dealt with a lot of the issues and then was like, oh no. But yeah.
Oh no, people are going to see this.
Yeah.
You were like, I've dealt with it. I don't need to keep filming.
It was
I'm done.
quite scary sitting in the audience and having your bosses from like Waterloo Road sat in there about to watch me having sex with David Tagg on screen.
Bit weird. Obviously, a lot of people that are listening or watching won't have seen Departures because it's only been at film festivals, but it is getting a cinema release
Yes.
soon.
Yes.
We're not allowed to say when.
Well, we don't know 100% when dates wise, so but by the time this comes out, maybe we will.
Okay, maybe. This is coming out next week.
Oh no, then we won't.
Sick.
But yeah, it is getting a cinema release, so go and watch it.
Definitely go watch it. It's hilarious. It's so
It's hilarious.
good.
It's sad.
So
it's
sad.
just very good.
But just like the style of it as well is just so cool. Like the cinematography. I think I walked out because I think, I saw it with you. Obviously, we were
You
all
got in.
together.
You got there late.
Yeah.
It was just, it is stunning. Like aesthetically, it's beautiful as well, along with all the story and the sort of narrative arc of it too. So Paul, what's his surname?
Morlock.
So you worked with him in the past as well, from what you were saying.
Yeah, we've collaborated for quite a few years now. Yeah.
So how did you guys decide on the design of, it's almost like, in terms of the lighting, it feels like it's all these reds and blues and almost like slightly like the saturation's almost turned up. How did you sort of decide on that kind of aesthetic?
I think we wanted it to feel like a 90s film. We wanted it to feel like Human Traffic Train Spotting. Like that was kind of what we were going for.
Cool, yeah.
We wanted that feel. We wanted it to feel like a British, exciting kind of, because they were exciting films. And I feel like no one has made anything like that for ages. And that's the kind of style I love, like where you can play with different film styles and have different screens coming in and out. And stuff, so I think it was just in our playground of what we love watching, and we got to kind of, we got to do all the stuff that you can't do if you're working on a drama for TV.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like just playing with everything.
You really did play with everything as well. Like you filmed it on obviously a professional cinema camera, but also you filmed it on 16mm
Yes,
film and
32
an
mil.
iPhone,
Yeah.
and various other cameras
Yeah.
and bits and bobs. Like you just
We just went
said,
wild.
fuck it, if it takes a picture, I'll do it.
And then we were like, musical number, go.
Oh yeah, you added that in as well at one point.
That got added very last minute. We were flying back from Amsterdam and I was like, I just feel like it needs a musical number. And Paul was like, yeah, me too. And then that was it. We just filmed it the
It
weekend
was in.
after.
It was in. So we shot it over. It was shot over 9 months, right? But only 12 days filming.
12 days, yeah.
And so, how much of that other time was spent in the editing suite?
All the time. I mean, I just edited it on my Mac. So I was just doing it in the evenings on my Mac at home and just edited it.
Like after Waterloo and after
After
Hollywood
Waterloo
and-
Road, yeah, just literally was sat there just putting it together. But I'd do it kind of, because it was kind of 9 blocks, I suppose, I would just do it over the month.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was like a lot of other stuff. So we had to like, cast people in it. We were getting locations. So that month was always really busy because it was just us running around trying to get this indie film together.
One of the more interesting shots I found was I was told before going into it that there was a shot with a camera that goes through someone's bum and it comes out. And I was like, what? So then I
David
watched
Fincher
it.
moment, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that was such a creative choice. I was
Yeah,
like,
we couldn't quite pull it together because we obviously didn't have any money. So we just went into the bum instead.
yeah.
how?
How?
No, don't. No, okay.
With an iPhone camera or something.
Was it a really small camera?
It was like a little like lens, like a probe lens. I don't know. It was just like it was on a small.
so
It was a
actually
smaller
go-
lens, yeah. But we didn't actually go in his bum.
Oh,
It
okay.
kind of stopped
I was
when we
thinking,
got there.
when
We-
they
he
have
was
like
up for
surgery
it,
and
but-
it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just thought it was really cool. I was like, I've never seen that in a film.
Can I just clarify that that's not my bum? Because I know you were telling people it's my bum at the end of the
No,
film.
it wasn't.
Yes, you
no,
were.
no,
You
no,
told
no.
some of the cast to walk
People
the
said,
road.
was that Lloyd's bum? And I just said, yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
my
that's what you
bum.
said
It's
to
a
me.
porn actor's bum.
Right,
It's
okay.
not mine.
Well, I wasn't telling people that it was yours. I just said, maybe.
I thought it
Like,
was,
yeah,
'cause
I
that's
think
what
it
you
is. I
told
don't
me.
know.
I can't believe that. I'm just
I'm
putting
so-
that out
sorry.
there. No, it's not.
It's implied that it's yours, so I just assumed it
No,
was
it's
yours.
not. It says I feel like I'm being sucked into an arsehole. It doesn't say it means feel like I'm being sucked into my arsehole.
You know what? That's a good place to take a break.
that's a break already. That was super quick. Cool. So speaking about bums, and yeah, just jumping off that. In terms of obviously, there's so many sex scenes and so much nudity within the film. So you had a intimacy coordinator, Amy.
Cross.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What was it like as a process in terms of having that intimacy coordinator? What sort of exercises did you do to be able to relax between you and David and the other cast as well?
We did that thing where you kind of go, "Can I touch you here? Yes. Can I touch you here? Yes. Can I that exercise?"
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we did that. And then the thing is, me and David have known each other for years. So it was kind of like, we were those people that were like, well, you can do anything. You know what I mean? But Amy was like, no. And then we did these exercises together and had a Pilates ball in between us during sex scenes and all of that.
Had a what? Sorry.
Like a flat Pilates ball.
Uh-huh.
Like a rubber,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I mean, the sex scenes in it were just fun because it was just like doing it with friends. Like it was just like.
It's just a laugh, innit?
Well, yeah. I mean, it just wasn't. It's just not real or sexy. So it's
Yeah.
It was.
To be fair, it was very funny with me and Izzy in
Yeah.
the toilet. It was just like, yeah, this is a laugh because I've known Izzy for years.
Have you?
And we rocked up. It was
Through
like eight
Alex
in the morning.
or
Through Alex and just I think we just generally knew each other from around. I rocked up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. It was like, you're kissing Izzy. I was like, cool.
Oh,
yeah,
hey, Izzy.
happy days. Cool. Let's go. It was just funny.
okay, Sal.
But yeah.
I don't know. It was weird because I've obviously never done a sex scene before. But Amy made it really safe, and it was I don't know. It was fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
And in terms of obviously some of the topics are heavier as well in terms of those scenes. Deals with like sexual assault and being sort of taken advantage of. And you were talking about how a lot of it comes from lived experience between you and Neil and some of the other collaborators, I imagine. Mm-hmm. How did you find a way to not relive those moments, but deal with them in an authentic way without, triggering other people on set, like looking after each other?
I think it's an interesting. I think I found the sexual assault scene the hardest because it was telling a story that happened to Neil. That he's, Neil's in a place where he can talk about that story. But obviously, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think that for me, I wanted to get right.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time speaking to Neil. Neil now works for Survivors Manchester, which is a male rape charity. And I think we made sure that we got that really like right for people. And I think, I think that was the most challenging scene in the film for me, because I wanted to get it right for Neil as well, because it's his story that happened to him. And I had to act and play something I've not experienced as well in that case, whereas a lot of it I had experienced in the other bits, but it was like, it was really, that was hard, because I felt I had a real responsibility to make sure that we were authentically portraying that, I suppose, for Neil. But I think Neil found it, okay to, I think he felt in a place where he could tell that story. Like it was a safe space to do it in, I think. But I think the edit process of that, I think Neil would say was hard, because we had to keep watching the scene.
Just keep watching the scene.
And it was like, I think that was difficult, because obviously we were editing it in my living room in the evenings, and like having to kind of keep editing that scene.
Yeah.
So I think that, can be tricky, but also I think he's very proud that story's in there, and that it's, showing what can happen, I suppose, to people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, do you find the sort of responsibility to tell not stories just like that, but that not as a warning, but just to open people's eyes to what can happen, and like a moral responsibility to do it justice as well?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's not massively talked about still as well. I think we just wanted to create a film that was real, from real experiences that we've experienced, recently in that, not just the LGBT community, but I think just in life. And like, I think the story is quite universal to everyone as well, in terms of what the film is about, falling for somebody that you shouldn't fall for, and the kind of, and what happens when you then exit a toxic relationship and the repercussions it has on your mental health. Because I think it's quite, I've spoken to a lot of people that have watched it, straight, gay, whatever, and I think a lot of people have been like, I've been there, I've experienced that. And that kind of downfall you can get into when you've been kind of wanting to be with someone toxic, I suppose.
I think one of the things was how relatable it was for so many people, which drew my attention to it so much, was the fact that so many people, we all think we're so individual, and that it only happens to us. And then you speak to someone else and you're like, oh, it's happened to you too. And then you speak to someone else and it's like, it's also happened to you, and you realize that we're all connected in these ways that we don't even realize. And I think the film gives a very good idea, and it makes you feel that you're not alone, and that even though it's yours and Neil's story, it almost feels like it's everyone's story, because there's part of it in everyone, really, which is really nice. I was interested to see, obviously you and Neil probably talk a lot about different ideas, different films. Why was it Departures was the one that you wanted to tell the most?
I was in a really kind of shit place at the time, and started writing Departures as a bit of like a kind of like to work through it, I suppose. And Neil was like, we're not making this, we're making a different film. And I was like, well, I've done the script.
Right, what did Neil want to make?
Neil wanted to make Inappropriate Adult, which is the next project we're doing.
Cool, with Tyler.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he was like, oh, we're doing that. What do you mean? What do you mean we're doing this on the film? I was like, no, but I need to make this now, because I'm feeling it now, and I think it needs to be made now. And I convinced him. I could convince him. Got him to do it. It was harder to convince him that I'd be in it, but then and then it just kind of, just felt like it was kind of something that I just needed to do it now. I don't know, I can't explain
like
it.
Like a gut instinct just to do it. Yeah.
And we hadn't made, I hadn't made a film for ages either. And the whole film industry's changed as well. Like Letterboxd wasn't a thing when I last made a film, and that was a shock.
In what way?
Well, because it's just like, people that hadn't even seen the film were leaving reviews. I was like, there's no way you've seen this, because it's not even screened anywhere yet. And they were like, 0.5 star. And I was like,
really? Seriously?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's got a good Letterboxd rating now, but like we were like, who is this?
Yeah, track it down.
And then I was like going through, like trying to find her on the internet, and like, take that down. There's just
mad.
loads of trolls on there that leave but it's just a thing that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any? I imagine Ollie might already be searching for them. Ollie sometimes does a game for Letterboxd reviews, and me and Ben have to guess what film it is for.
That's hilarious.
I'm winning at the
And
moment.
sometimes the little things that people leave as Letterboxd reviews are hilarious. I don't know whether there's any for this one.
Yorkshire pud is the mank version of a grapefruit.
What?
Sorry, give me that one more time.
Doesn't even make sense.
Yorkshire pud is the mank version of a grapefruit.
It's because
for departures?
it's because in the
don't
film
understand.
she says, "Would you rather have a Yorkshire pudding wrapped around your cock and gravy?"
Oh,
or,
yeah.
or
What? Wait, that's in the
lick
film.
cottage cheese out of a fanny. Yeah, that's in the film. Yeah, there's like a "Would you rather" in it.
Bizarrely, I don't remember that moment. Oh, that's so funny.
There are
There we
some
go.
funny ones.
Well, we know what the thumbnail quote for this one will be. Oh, man.
Oh, that's funny.
So how do you decide what stories you want to tell when it's your own projects? Because you've made SAM, which we'll talk about a little bit more as well with George Webster and Sam Retford. Is that still in development for something big?
No, it's not. Yeah, that was in development for a long time. This is the thing.
Like it won awards and was on Channel 4
Yeah,
for
it got on
ages.
Channel
and,
4, yeah. It's so hard, because when this is why we kind of now just want to make films, because you can sometimes spend, I had a feature film called Kill Pill that had a Hollywood A-list actress attached to it.
Wow.
It was all ready to go,
I read
packaged.
the script for that. It was
and
brilliant.
we still couldn't get it off the ground. And we had an all-star cast attached to it that, and it's like you wait for years and years for someone to tell you can make a film, and then it doesn't end up getting made. And I think me and Neil got really frustrated with development hell. And it's so exciting when you get that option because you're like, this is it. And you're like cartwheeling down the road. And then 3 years later, you're like that with the script. So it's just it's a roller coaster, I think, this industry for writers who want to get their stuff off the ground because the highs are so high. We got something optioned on Friday and we were like, yes, it's just so exciting.
What, last Friday?
Yeah, just gone. Yeah, we've got a series option and we're like, oh my God, this is it. And it's so exciting. And, and then a part of you is like, but will it get made? Who knows? We had a TV show in development with a really big company in London last year from a pilot that we shot ourselves. And then a year later, it's not been made, and then they let it go, and you're like, that, you kind of go, oh, actually, maybe I'll do something else, and I'll retrain, and you're like, oh God, I'm 34, what do I do now? Maybe I'll become a barber, and then you get an email being like, this could change your life, and then you're like, yes, it's happening, It's
So what does keep you going then?
the highs of the getting the options and the
We're all
emails and the it's the same as being an actor. It's like getting
We're
an
all just
audition.
gambling addicts, aren't we?
It's,
We're just like-
it's a gambling habit, and then you're
yeah, but the next
Adrenaline
one.
junkies. It's like roller coasters.
yeah, and then
yeah.
they're like, your film's getting released, and then you're like, yes, it's happening. This is it, and then
No one sees it or something.
well,
yeah.
it's just bonkers.
And then you don't work for 5 years.
From
Yeah.
January until literally last month, I didn't work. I was just sat at home waiting for being like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's just, and then I was like, maybe I do need to retrain. And then suddenly I get offered a block on EastEnders and I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm doing it, and then it's just don't do this career unless there's nothing else you want to do. That's what I would say.
That's why we're all sat here.
Yeah. And even I've had friends that have been in massive, huge TV series and then they can come out of it and then not work for 3 years. So it's it's just such a bonkers industry.
And it's always changing. It's not like there's a specific way of how the industry is. One year it's this, and then the next year it's completely different. And you're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
I hate this industry.
Don't we all?
It's wild,
no,
but
I love it.
I mean, I just think it's too late now. I'm just gonna roll with it and just hope,
just keep going. I think it is just
it's-
persistence and just keeping going.
Yeah.
I feel like as well, and it sounds a bit like cliche to say, but the universe or whatever higher power is out there always seems to put things at the right time, even when you don't feel like it is. And you're just like, you want something now, and then a year later you go, oh, actually that happened because of this. But you can only realize that when you look back on it. You don't realize it right now.
And find something else you look like. I've been directing a show at Lipper. And I've loved
Oh,
it.
no way.
Yeah, that's why I saw your face in the.
Oh, you did
corridor.
mention,
And
yeah.
I messaged you and went, "You're
I
in
still
Lipper."
don't know what face they use. I
And,
hope it was an
and
okay face.
It's only 4 weeks directing a show, but I've loved it. And what I've loved it is that there's actors that I've met there that I'm going to cast.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it's just like meeting new people. And
They're
I was
watching
like,
this going, I have a job.
yeah, like, because it's...
Third year show then?
No, I did the foundation.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and there's like some of the people there, the talent there are incredible.
Sick.
And I was like, this is amazing. And I love that. And I think that's what I've realized recently is there's other parts of the industry that actually are accessible and that, you know, are actually really fulfilling as well. Yeah.
With you.
I was just going to say, so you talked about having to wait for things to get like greenlit. You told me a bit about something called Punk Spirit Films. Elaborate. What is that?
So Punk Spirit Films is a film production company that me, Neil and Paul have set up where we're, I guess, Punk Spirit just going to make stuff and not necessarily wait for people to tell us we can make it and do it on smaller budgets. So we're actually this morning decided that we're going to make one this summer. It's like a 3-hander. I've started writing the script for it, and that's going to be our next one that we do.
Cool.
So
So
literally,
is this sort of born out of the frustration of, you know, being optioned and then budget people elsewhere, like getting the choice of what you guys do or don't do?
yeah, and not being able to make stuff. So, I mean, I've had an idea for something which I think is very simple, but not been done before, and will hopefully be good. So we're going to do it and see.
Okay.
I'm guessing you can't tell us any more than that, can you? That's it. Do you have an elevator pitch for it or no?
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
but I think it will be finished by August and ready.
Cool. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what it is.
Yeah.
I was going to ask as well. So would you say you have like any advice for anyone? You talk about being like a working class creative. While I was reading online, you know, Neil, he has a painting and decorating business. Also does I think it's community outreach with the Survivor charity. How do you find the time, and how would you say that, you know, people like working class or anyone who's got just so many different things that they need to do to even just survive, find a way to be creative and find a way to fulfill their passion with all the constraints around them?
I think it's about just being creative, writing, making. I mean, you can even make films on your phone. You know, I think just keep making. I think I would say to any, especially kind of actors and directors that are trying to get themselves launched off the ground, is make your own work. 'Cause it'll make you stand out. Even if it's a theatre show or anything, just try and create characters for your strengths and just kind of make your own work. Because I think if you wait for somebody else to tell you can make something, you might be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
That was a good quote.
That is good.
That was good.
Thanks for
Going into
giving
it.
us a clip there.
Yeah.
What I hate this question because it's wanky, but like, what is your ethos? Like, what is your...
That's a Ben question.
Yeah. Like, it is.
Is that why? Because it's wanky. Is that why?
What carries through all of your work? What is the ultimate story or message that you want to convey with your career?
No pressure.
Big question.
Probably. I feel like that's a question I'll be able to answer at the end of my career. That's a really hard question.
All right, what do you hope?
I think I'd want to be authentic in the stories that I'm telling. I think it's something that I've carried through and just hasn't changed. Like, I think I want to tell authentic stories from unheard voices, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, and just, I think I'll always be just banging on the door, and I don't know. Someone said to me the other day, like, when do you think you'll be satisfied? And I don't know, because I think if you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh, if I was directing on Waterloo Road or EastEnders, like, but then you want to kind of keep going, and it never it's kind of like, where is the end of that ladder? I don't know.
It's like climbing to the top of a mountain and then seeing the real peak.
Yeah,
It's
no,
still,
there's another
still
one.
a mile in the
Okay.
future.
There's another
It's
one.
like, you know, I mean, directing Waterloo Road was a highlight of my career. I loved it.
It was the first time you got an hour of TV, wasn't it? And then
I
you got
feel
two of them.
So, like, grateful to Cameron and Lindsay and Adam for giving me that opportunity, and then bringing me back again. And I feel like that I do like telling stories about young people, and Waterloo Road's, you know, about young working class people from Manchester, and it just felt like a show that I was so passionate. I loved every second of it. That has definitely like been a highlight for me. And if I did never ever get on a TV show again, I think I'd be like, well, I am really happy, but I mean, I would obviously want to keep doing other shows. But yeah, I loved that. That was a highlight for me. Really loved it. Yeah.
I think it is this thing where you enter into this industry and it's like, can you imagine yourself still wanting to do the work when you're 80? Like, I think like of Ian McKellen or someone like that. I just don't think I'd ever want to stop. I think I'd always still want to. I mean, he played like Hamlet when he was 5 years ago now.
Yeah,
It's a weird choice, but anyway, moving on. Yeah, I think is a passion there to just keep working and keep
think so.
learning. Like it's when you're doing theatre shows and it's just each night, oh, that was new. Oh, that was different. New discovery, a new thing to like focus on.
I think so. I think now that I applied for the BBC New Directors Scheme when I was 18, and then I got on it when I was 30. So it took.
Wow. Did you keep reapplying?
I applied for it every single year.
Right.
It took 12. Wow.
Yeah, and it was no. Got to an interview stage, no interview stage. Like it was, it's like banging on that door. But I was like, I'm just going to keep banging on it, and eventually it will open, and it did. And I think that's part of the industry, is that persistence of like keeping going. If you want it enough, you will just keep going.
What is the BBC New Director Scheme?
So basically they pick 5 new up and coming directors, and you get an episode of a continuing drama.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's very competitive. It's very hard to get on. It took me a long time to get on it, but when I achieved that, I was so happy because I was like, I've really worked to get on this and like bang on that door to get through it. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, but I also think this industry, you have to sacrifice a lot. Like I've definitely sacrificed getting in relationships and like, family events and stuff. And I think it's hard, and it's, you have to put a lot of time and energy into it. And you do end up sacrificing and missing things, I think, because there's someone always banging louder than you and going for it more than you are. Yeah. So it's a hard, tough industry. I wouldn't say it's a nice industry to be in, but when you don't want anything else, you just have to throw yourself in it.
When it's the only thing that you
have a choice.
Yeah, I remember doing a work experience on a TV show when I was 17, and I was sat in the room with the editor, and she went, if you want this, you're going to have to be prepared that you are going to sacrifice a lot of things like family, and like, if you want to get to that end goal, you've got to be all in. It's got to be your life. And I think recently I've tried to kind of find a bit of more of a middle ground with it, because I think it can get a bit unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you keep going?
I just didn't know what else there's just nothing else I can do.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I would do. Like, I was like, oh, maybe I could be a barber, but I just don't think I'd be very good at it. Because that was the other thing. I was like, well, maybe I'll do that as well alongside it, but I'm dyspraxic, so I think the hair would end up like, I'd end up like shaving it across, and it'd just be a nightmare. So then I was like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. Yeah. So I just don't want anything else. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of my last questions was like, do you think there's been a shift towards more queer stories like in mainstream cinema, like recently?
I think with queer cinema, it's only told in mainstream if you've got, Paul Mescal or Pedro Pascal acting in it, really. I think it's very difficult to break through it because people, I don't think audience members necessarily gravitate towards those films unless there's huge Hollywood stars in it. So they're harder to get made, like much harder at the kind of indie level. I think it's a really tough space to be in.
That's interesting. Yeah, because one of my best mates, he's queer. We have a lot of discussions about, the casting process of, that balancing act, like you were saying, in terms of, there's a straight dude playing a queer dude, but then it's like, okay, well, but he's bringing in this certain kind of audience, and that's the kind of audience that the producers are wanting to get. When you're casting your films, is that something that comes into your mind as well, or is it just whoever's authentic for the that core essence of whatever the character is, as opposed to their sexual identity?
I think we try and cast authentic, because I think it's harder for LGBT actors to get roles, because there is also that kind of Hollywood lens of, if a gay actor plays a straight role, that women won't buy into it and won't come and see it. I think that still exists. I think when Hollywood actors come out of the closet, which is why there's so many Hollywood actors still in the closet, I think it affects the way that Hollywood producers think in terms of the way they cast. So that's why I would try and cast someone LGBT, because I think there's less roles and less opportunities for them as actors. I think it's harder for them to, you know, when have you seen a gay actor playing, you know, Iron Man or Spider-Man? It just doesn't happen because they want good teenage girls to put them on their walls to make money. So I think it's harder, which is why I think, you know, I've got nothing. I don't disagree that straight actors can't play gay roles, because then you kind of open that kind of worms that gay actors can't play straight roles, but it's harder for a gay actor to get a straight role, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I try and be authentic with that. Yeah, if I can.
Cool.
Hey.
Don't look at me. Like, I'm done. I'm happy.
That was my last question.
Fantastic. Shall we wrap up there?
It's been a great chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Cheers.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah.
And now, after this, you can tell us more about the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
The secrets.
All right.
Do all the
great.
liking, commenting,
Yeah,
subscribing.
if you liked it, like it, comment, subscribe, follow it if you're on Spotify, and we'll see you for the next week's episode, which will be on TBC. Who knows? We'll find out next time. Bye.
It's a wrap.